I met George through our manager, Trey Wilson. He had been working with him. There was an ill-fated entertainment complex down in South Alabama, down in Dothan. And it was the guy that was building it and putting it together on the independent label that we were signed to. He had all these great plans. It was going to be like this little country music town. He like had a George Jones bed and breakfast and a Lori Morgan's country cafe and John Anderson's blacksmith shop and all this. It was great. It was a great idea. And it didn't work out. And there was some legal trouble that some people wound up in. I think it was all about gambling, but I don't know. It was fun while it lasted. But that's where we met George. And we had started to play shows with Jamie Johnson, who was a friend. And I was talking to Jamie one day and said, we should go record Yesterday's Wine. We could do it like George and Merle did it. And he said, oh, that's a great idea. And so I told Trey Wilson. And we booked the day. We went to, I think it used to be Curb Studios there. And James Stroud was like, I'll produce it. And we're like, oh, okay. Look how easy this is. And Trey said, would you want George to come? And I thought, I mean, of course we would, but that's crazy to think about, you know. He said,
sing in front of George Jones.
He said he'll do it. And I thought, sure he will. And I really didn't believe he would do it until he walked through the door. And I was like, holy shit, okay. And we had already actually tracked the song. It was just one day, you know, in there. The band, we tracked it, and Jamie and I sang it. And George came in at like 4 o'clock, he and his wife, Nancy. And then I was blown away. I mean, I got goosebumps thinking about it. It was just like, in walks the greatest country singer that's ever lived. And James Stroud he pressed play, you know, on the playback. And Cowboy Eddie Long was there, played steel on it. And George was like, it was really loud. And like you're listening to playback in a control room. And George goes, that's country music right there. And I thought, how fucking great is that? Because we're a rock band. But we like rootsy music. And I grew up playing country and bluegrass, so I understand. We're not just this rock band. It's like, we're going to make a country record. You know what I mean? Like if Creed decided to make a country. Sorry, Creed. But it's not foreign to us, you know. But that was such a badge there for a second. So it finishes, and he's like, that'll work. And he goes, I got to be honest, I thought y'all were a black gospel group. And I think it's our name, Blackberry Smoke. I don't know, maybe he was probably like, who am I going to? Because he had no idea who we were. And I thought, God, I wish. I mean, but then we went in, he said, we had already done it. And James Stroud was like, I don't know. Because James had just turned 80, or George had just turned 80. And so Stroud was like, I don't know how much he'll want to do. He may want to sing a line. Who knows, you know. And he said, I want to sing the whole thing with y'all. So Jamie and George and I went in and sang the whole thing again. And it was, I mean, I can't even describe it. It was just like, he didn't have to be coached. He knew what to do.
Were you guys singing in the same mic?
Same mic.
With George Jones?
With George Jones. Yeah. And it was just like that Leon Russell clip from A Poem is a Naked Person or whatever. He goes, it's kind of hard to sing when George Jones is in the booth. That's exactly right. He sang lower than Jamie and I and higher than us. It's crazy.
So we have these weird moments in life, but you were a kid listening to George Jones records. You never think that one day you might meet them, let alone sing on the same damn microphone.
That's right. Now, my grandmother's brothers were a gospel quartet called the Swanee River Boys. They started in the 40s, and they were active up until the early to mid 70s. And I grew up around them at family get-togethers and things in Wedowee, Alabama. That's where they were from. And the leader of the band was Buford Abner was his name. He lived to be 94. And Sturgill recorded a song he wrote called Long White Line on the Metamodern record. It's all just kind of crazy, but I told him after we had done that with George, I said, "Did you know George Jones?" He said, "Yeah, I did." They spent time in Nashville a lot and recorded with a lot of the same producers and studios, and apparently he got in a lot of trouble with that young man. I thought, okay.
Did he give you any particular stories?
He didn't, but I can remember some talk around even though they were a gospel quartet, it was still touring, and a lot of young man kind of stuff. But I think that was it was the industry. It was the touring musicians industry. So I even talked to Charlie Louvin at one point and asked if he remembered the Swannies, and he said, "Oh yeah, we spent time with them too." So they were all running the same little highways before the super highways, running the back roads.
Can you imagine what touring would have been like?
With the bass fiddle on top of the car, laying on each other. We have it made.
No air conditioning.
Yeah. I love the Star Day stuff. That's my favorite. I kind of subscribe to Kenny Vaughn's opinions. We talked about that, and about Billy Sherrill saying that he only ever got 80% of what George could do, but luckily for all of us, 80% of George is better than 120 of everybody else. But that stuff, I love the 70s stuff too. It's great for a different reason. But I was talking to Warren Haynes about George and Ray Charles, the way their voices deepened as they got older from cigarettes and other things too, probably, but mainly, nicotine and age, and how their voices got richer and bigger. It's like their voices sound wider, But still, man, those early recordings that's the shit. That's the kind of thing I listen to and think nobody can sing better than this. Nobody. Like any genre of music, nobody sings better than this. Than George.
Everything you're hearing on those recordings took place live on the floor.
Yeah.
Probably into one microphone sometimes.
Yeah, or like we talked about the Salutes George Jones record that they recorded in 2 hours. And what was the label? If it was it Musicor that had Your Angel Steps Out of Heaven, and there was a song that I asked him actually if he still would sing, and he said no, it's too high, which is bullshit because he could sing that high, and it was Things Have Gone to Pieces. And anyway, that's the greatest stuff ever.